It's pretty gory, isn't it?
A little bit, especially Sonic.
There's a new hero out there, and he's not gonna let anyone stand in his way. Ty the Tasmanian Tiger. Rated E for everyone. EA Games.
Yeah, that is such a 90s commercial, isn't it?
Oh, extremely.
Alright, good evening, folks. Hope you all had a good work week. Welcome to the Game Reserve. My name is Jorgen Newman, and I'm Warren in this part. And considering you can't see my ugly mug tonight, you can probably guess who my special guest is tonight. Returning from another unsuccessful expedition to Australia and his ongoing quest to find the elusive drop bear is none other than my big brother, Indiana Joe. How
Hey,
you
guys.
doing, Joe?
I'm doing okay, Jay.
Yeah, so your recent trip to Australia sparked some inspiration for me. So I thought, have you on the stream and we take a look at probably the most famous Australian game ever, Ty the Tasmanian Tiger. This game was released in 2012, 2020, 2003, I want to say. What do you know about this game, Judd?
Oh, not too much, Jay. I think it's supposed to be Australian developed.
Yes, that is correct. This game was created by Chrome Studios, and obviously they put a lot of their home country into it and everything. But it was one of those games that was created to cash in on the mascot platformer craze, started by Sonic the Hedgehog, but just kind of snowballed into the 90s and all the way through the PlayStation 2 era. And even though a lot of people agree that Ty wasn't necessarily one of the better games in that sort of subgenre of games, it's remarkable how many people still remember this game today. While a lot of people don't look back fondly on Ty the Tasmanian Tiger in regards to gameplay, it is an iconic character for a lot of people, and I think even you remember me and Jared playing this game quite a bit back in the day.
No, definitely.
It was after you had fallen off of video games due to your disappointment with Star Fox Assault. But Ty was a decent-sized fixture in our home at the time. So yeah, I'm kind of looking forward to revisiting this game for the showcase, and since you're very familiar with Australia and all the weird incidental things that are associated with the country, I thought it would be fun to have you on here for some added commentary. So why don't we go ahead and get started. Okay, so first thing we always talk about is the title screen. I think that's a really good one, just like the two-letter word, Ty. It's just so bold, and I love how it just fits perfectly with the boomerang too. I mean, that's a good title screen, and the Aboriginal drawings in the background, and very Australian music too, I would say. What do you think?
Let me listen for a second. Yeah, I would say so. It has kind of an 80s vibe to it, which is very Australian.
Yeah, I think there's a didgeridoo in there somewhere too. I mean, yeah, very well done, I would say. And like with most games from this time period, it opens with a pre-rendered animation. Earlier tonight we were watching supposed sightings of the Tasmanian tiger, which is unfortunately an extinct species. Is it just me, or does the quality of this animation kind of remind you of those videos we were watching?
A little bit.
Yeah, there's one thing that's kind of cool about Ty. He's the only, mascot platformer character I can think of.
I gotcha!
That is based off a creature that is extinct. Which is interesting to think about. They even kind of work that into the backstory of the character, too.
Don't move, mate! I'll get help!
Which we're about to get into here.
Don't be afraid, Ty. I am Nandu Gilly, the Bunyip Elder.
G'day, mate.
It's time you knew the truth.
Do people really greet each other like that in Australia?
It depends where you go. In
Years
Sydney,
ago,
not so
a
much,
great
but
battle was
if
fought
you go
over the
into the
fate
country,
of 5 mystic
definitely.
talismans.
Why is it the bad guys in these games always have to come at the heroes with robots?
Yeah, I was about to say, big Sonic the Hedgehog vibe.
I'm sure Eggman's come at Sonic with a giant gorilla on occasion.
No! You mammals don't deserve to be at the top of the food chain! Now! Now to restore the natural order.
So how often do people in Australia fight giant robots with boomerangs?
Not often.
Oh my head! Never, never, never!
I think it is funny that they're fighting a bird with it though, because I think traditionally how the boomerang came about was as a tool for duck hunting.
For duck hunting, too.
So I'm not really sure if it would do much against a cassowary or whatever cass is supposed to be. It's supposed to be a vicious bird, right?
Yeah, cassowaries are bad news. They're up in Queensland and on the northeast coast of Australia. I think they're the second heaviest and biggest bird in the world after the ostrich.
Those
and
brave
they're
few who challenge Boss Cass
when
were trapped in a
provoked, they're
dream.
aggressive.
Dad?
So best not to
Word
screw around
grows
with
that
them.
Boss Cass
Oh,
is
yeah.
seeking out the talismans
I mean,
again.
they do try
They must
to
be stopped at all
you know,
costs.
kill off all
It's up to
warm-blooded
you
creatures
to find the
apparently,
talismans
and
before
are
he does.
evidently
to
responsible
me to save
for
my family.
the extinction
Oi,
of the
Ty!
Tasmanian tiger.
You okay?
Murray? Oh, Mike, glad to see you. Oh, you're never gonna believe what just happened. I was playing in the forest when the ground suddenly... And that's when you showed up.
Sounds like you've got a fair dinkum adventure ahead of you,
Oh,
mate.
cockatoo.
Not that I'm into that sort of thing. I'd
Those are
much
like
rather
pigeons
be
in
at home
Australia.
watching
They're
the
everywhere.
footy, but I tell you
You know,
what,
I was watching
you
Nitro
do the
Red's video
adventure,
of
and I'll
Ty the
help you
Tasmanian
out
Tiger
where I
earlier. He
can.
actually mistook Murray for a pigeon.
Hmm.
Hey, look, there's a drop bear right there.
I'm surprised that's not the bad guy.
Alright, so the first thing we usually talk about here on the stream are the controls, and I mentioned earlier how this remaster makes the controls a little bit better. With the original version of the game, Ty could really only move in 8 directions, which made the controls feel a little stiff. But here he's got the full degree of movement, which feels really good. And movement in general does feel really nice here. I don't know, it's just something about the way Ty is animated that just works really well. The jump is a little strange though, like it just feels like you gain altitude really quick and then it bombs out real fast. And of course your primary form of attack is the boomerang, which no matter what always ends up back in hand. I guess that's some mad skills on Ty's part. And of course Ty can take a bite out of things too, which is really the only time you see him open his mouth completely. Speaking of Ty's design, I always kind of felt like they drew him in 2D but didn't really think about how he would look in 3D. So, like, he's got the Sonic side mouth thing going, and it just looks really odd to me for a
G'day,
3D
Julius.
character model.
Now, if I just reroute
There's that drop
these wires
bear
to...
again.
I said
Sketchy
g'day,
stuff.
mate.
You ever
I was
encounter...
deaf.
Wait, you never found the
Goodness
drop bear,
gracious me.
but,
I didn't see you
you
there.
ever encounter a koala?
I was just making some last-minute
A couple of times, and
Well,
it probably
well,
was the
well,
most
you must
terrifying
be
moment of
Ty.
my life.
So, you old coot.
Yeah, of all the
What's this
things that could
contraption
kill you in
here?
Australia, it's The koala
This
terrifies you.
contraption is
Koalas
the
are what
key
you have to watch
finding
out
the
for.
talisman.
I don't care about snakes,
Why is
crocodiles,
this so?
dingoes.
It's quite
Watch out
simple,
for the
really.
koalas.
In all
It
serious
uses
though,
an
why don't you
oscilloscope
explain to the people what the
microfeeder to
drop
scan
bear
for
is,
trace
Judd?
energy
Because I don't
signals
know
that
if my
match the
audience
unique
would be aware
biometrics
of
the
that.
talisman.
Well, hope you never become aware of a drop bear.
Like a big
It's
nose that sniffs
basically
them out.
a large koala
Oh.
that has been known to drop down on people
And
walking through the
thunder
bush.
eggs are the key to
And yeah,
powering the machine.
they weigh like 30 pounds and they're
Thunder eggs.
vicious. They gouge eyes
They're as
out,
rare as
eat
hen's
people's
teeth.
tongues. Stay
Couldn't
away.
you just use batteries?
Let's check my
Oh,
sim
it
real
was
quick.
that easy. You see, this machine doesn't just find where the talismans
Sounds like it's
are.
coming in real
it
nice there, Jay. I
actually
think that lapel
teleports
microphone
them
is
here.
working out great.
Good deal.
Struck me lucky.
Wait,
And
how?
that,
What
my
would
friends,
an Australian
requires
say
a
in
great
response to
deal
that?
of
They would
energy.
say the exact same thing.
So, how is Ty here
More
gonna
you know.
find all these thunder
Indeed.
eggs?
Hey, I was just wondering that myself.
A reasonable question.
So basically, what they're saying is instead of just going to find the talismans, we gotta find thunder eggs, which they can use to power this machine. That'll just take you to the talismans, which is weird. So we gotta find thunder eggs, which are essentially power stars from Super Mario 64. Ty is essentially a Super Mario 64 3D platformer in that regard.
Resourceful as they say, Ty, I'm sure you'll think of
I wondered
something.
when this like style of game went out of style.
Oh, I would say right around this time, actually, because while Mario would never really forgo that style of gameplay, this was the time when Ratchet and Clank and Sly Cooper were starting to become really popular, and they never really fell into the collectathon platformer style. And as the PlayStation 2 era came to an end, taste in gaming's kind of changed. Like back in the day, mascot platformers like this were, you know, the really big video game genre. Throw a stick at any wall of games and you're likely to hit a 3D platformer. But then Halo came out and all of a sudden it was about first-person shooters, and that's, you know, the big thing people like in games today, unfortunately. Games like this aren't as prevalent as they used to be, and you really only find them in the indie scene, it seems. I mean, you still got Mario, you still have Ratchet and Clank, and last year Sony put out a really good 3D platformer called Astrobot. But, yeah, the collectathon just isn't what it used to be, unfortunately. But I remember back in our day, collectathon platformers were just everywhere, like Banjo, Donkey Kong. Many a Saturday night were spent playing those.
For sure.
Life wasn't meant to be easy.
Alright, so now we're actually in the first stage of the game. And for the time, I wouldn't say these graphics are terribly bad either. Does it look like any places you've been to in Australia, Judd?
Right here, not so much, but
Beauty, butler, bonza, I got one.
there's a place that's just north of Sydney called the Blue Mountains that's really lush and green like this. So the backdrop they were showing earlier kind of looked like that. Yeah.
We also got our collectible in the game, so what do you think these things are, Judd?
I'm guessing opals.
They are opals
I
indeed.
reckon those dummies are a complete waste of space. Only last week I used
Hey
them
Judd, why don't you tell us what a dunny is?
It's an outhouse.
and then woke up back on the dunny.
Great name for an outhouse.
Hey, guess what? Those are your checkpoints.
Nice.
Julius reckons it's got something to do with the space-time conundrum. But if you ask me, I think it's a load of bull dust.
So you're saying that if I have an accident, I'll end up back at one of these?
Something like that.
So I know you've gotten yourself into some trouble out in Australia. So you ever been knocked out in Australia and just woke up on the toilet of all places?
No.
Pretty good sound design in this game too. Like, I love when you crack an enemy with a boomerang, you get a nice satisfying thud. It's a lot of fun to break the boxes too. Like, good sound design can really elevate gameplay, I always find. So like when I go to hit these frill lizards here, ooh, that just feels good, doesn't it? The game was inspired by Sonic the Hedgehog.
Absolutely.
There's 2 boomerangs now, which makes combat a lot easier. So throw one, throw the other. Evidently, we can use the boomerangs to glide, which apparently we can. I didn't know you could do that with boomerangs. Boomerangs sound amazing. Like,
After all. Just as well I didn't call for an ambulance.
yeah, I think Murray might be an a-hole.
Through with flying colours.
Seems that way.
Only an a-hole will wear a sweater vest like that.
Near the star. Okay. What's that for? The racetrack. You can race the clock to win another Thunder Egg.
Right. I'll give that a go later.
Well, that's enough gas bagging from me. Let's head back to the Bladeslinger station.
That sounds really nasty, doesn't it? The Bladeslinger station.
Indeed. Yeah, so in Australia, a station's like a ranch.
Why do they call it a station instead of just a ranch?
I don't know.
They just need to drop on that frill lizard.
I found it. I found it.
Let me see that. At last, a mystic talisman. It's time to...
You know what I think would be a more interesting adversary for a Tasmanian Tiger?
What's that?
Maybe some cryptids, because even though the Tasmanian Tiger is extinct, people do for some reason have this idea that they are still around somewhere, and every once in a while you get supposed video evidence of them, but it really just kind of comes off more as Bigfoot or something. I think it would be interesting to pit like the Tasmanian Tiger against something like that, like a Bigfoot or a Loch Ness Monster or a Mothman and all that stuff. And I'm sure there's plenty of weird stories in the outback of cryptids. They probably have their own culture of that out there.
Yeah, I would think so. There's definitely a lot of room for cryptids to hide in the outback.
Now we gotta follow the seahorse. The swim controls here are actually pretty good. And I like how Ty does the butterfly to swim. And as someone who's had a lot of experience around water, that is typically my go-to stroke when I need to go somewhere fast, particularly underwater. The way like he's moving his arms in tandem with his legs too. That's just a really good animation. I like it.
Mm-hmm.
Ugh. Wait, is he boxing?
That's what it looks like.
And
That's a big spider.
that's not a spider. That's a
Oh, it's a
beetle
beetle.
or something. I didn't know they could get that big. Man, Australia is just a crazy place, isn't it? Just grab it, Ty. What on earth is that thing?
Looks like, I'm not sure what the actual name for it is, but it looks like a guinea fowl.
A guinea fowl?
Yep.
What's a guinea fowl?
It's, basically like that. It's, a bigger, flightless bird.
Is it kind of like an Australian dodo?
You could kind of say that.
I'm from a Tasmanian tiger anyway, so what am I thinking?
Most likely.
Hold still! Gotcha! I feel like that was just designed to piss you off.
G'day, Shazza.
Oh, shivers. Oh, Ty, am I glad to see you. Would you mind keeping those blue tongues off me back while I fill up my watering bottle?
No worries.
Thanks, Possum.
And yes, it is Ty's girlfriend.
Hit Hit the boulders with your rang so they knock the blue tongues out of the way.
Nice.
Man, these guys are hard-headed, aren't they? By the way, that's what happens when you hit me in the head with a boulder. You get that metallic clink. I missed. They even have the
Thanks heaps for what you
the
did
Star
back
Trek
there,
glasses that Bebop would
By the
wear.
way, I found this at the creek. You want it?
Shoot, Ripper!
Well, I better get a move on. See you soon, Possum.
Just asking stupid questions. Okay, so that's Ty the Tasmanian Tiger. Again, I wouldn't say that this is an amazing game. Like Steppy was saying, like I sounded like I was bored for most of the stream, and honestly, I do get kind of bored playing Ty the Tasmanian Tiger because it is just, you know, I'm 30 years old, and this game was clearly intended for a much younger audience, not really appealing to an older crowd. But I still do have a soft spot for Ty. It's just a very charming game. I like the Australian aesthetic. Like, I love the idle animations, Ty playing with the boomerangs. Like, there's just a really nice style to this game, which I think is why it's had such a lasting legacy. But what does someone who has actually traveled to Australia and spent some time there think of it?
Yeah, I think it, you know, it hits all of the, like the things you would think of when you think of Australia. And the best way I can put it is Australia is a charming place, and I think Ty does a good job of kind of capturing that.
Like, I know Ty the Tasmanian Tiger is a little stereotypical, but would you say that, you know, it still represents the country well?
I would say so. I'd say even if it is stereotypical, the vibe is right.
And it was made by Australians, so
Yeah.
it's self-aware.
Yeah.